Hi, it's Gadget UK here again, this time a Kung Fu flashcart. Yeah, I always like to do things like this in the unexpected way. What I mean is I could have built one of these, I could have bought one of these, but no, I'd rather buy a faulty one and try and fix it, and that's exactly what I've done. So straight away you can see it looks a bit sus around here, you know. It's just like a bit dirty, a bit fluxy. Some of the components are not very well aligned and stuff. There's some solder on the edge of that. You might just be able to sit onto the SD, micro SD slot there. So I'm not even familiar with these. I know a number of channels have done videos on them, but I'm really not familiar on them at all. I think it's got an ARM chip there, so the worst case, if that's faulty, I could just try and source one of those. In the middle of the pandemic at the moment, that's going to be very hard to source, but I'm sure I can get one from somewhere at some point, even if it's, you know, I have to put this video on hold. You can see there's a bit of dirt or something stuck on there, look at that. And obviously the contacts are a bit dirty, so I think I'll start by just cleaning up these contacts. We'll plug it into the C64. It's got a 3.3 volt regulator there to power the stuff on here. So we'll check that. That's an interesting point, actually, that it's using 3.3 volts. This is one of these devices that's not got any buffering to the C64 side. So you've got 3.3 volt logic levels and 5 volt logic levels on the C64. You have the clamping diodes on those connections there, which will clamp to 3.3 volts, which means you could damage your C64 using one of these. I'm surprised no one's mentioned that. Now there's a lot of what look like maybe resistors and caps and things, well, mostly caps actually. What I was going to say is sometimes the technique, they certainly do it on some things like that, is to put 100 ohm resistors in series. I think Crix did that with the EverDrive, support the Ukraine, by the way. There are some resistor networks there, so maybe that's what those are for. Maybe the connections are going through those to limit a bit of current there, but yeah, that's it's not perfect, but it's better than nothing, I guess. And to be fair, I've got EverDrives that work that way, and you know what? The EverDrive is still fine, and all the systems I use them with are still fine. So it probably isn't the big problem that you think it is, hence also why my Neo Geo still works, all of my Neo Geos, when I've been using the 161 with it. Again, which doesn't have level translation. Anyway, let's just clean that up. So we'll just clean the contacts with cotton bud here. You can see the solder coated these, so when you wipe solder you'll always get that blackness, so it's not like they're super dirty. Well, they are, but my point is you can rub and rub and rub like this when there's solder contacts and you'll always get blackness off it. It doesn't matter how perfect it looks, it'll still give you a black cotton bud. But it's worth doing this before we connect it, just to make sure that this isn't the issue. It's got a 3.3 volt regulator, so we can measure the voltage on that, certainly as one of the early tests, assuming this does nothing. Now, what I'm not sure about is whether this will boot without a card. Does it need some software on there for this, or you know, the OS, or what? How's that work? I have no idea, but we will soon find out. So this board featured in a few different videos actually. There's a repair, I'll stick up there, and then just recently we built this from Hey Bert, the channel Hey Bert. That's really cool. Replacement clock chip there. Anyway, let's get the cartridge out and get this one in. Now of course I'm just assuming it goes upwards there. It would be crazy because of the buttons there to go any other way. So yeah, educated guess. I'll switch it on. And just the black screen. Switch it off. Yeah, so nothing's getting hot or anything. I can't see for the blooming sun here, it's that bright. So, it's not doing anything, is it? I think we'll measure the 3.3 volts next. So I've turned it around this way just so we can get access to the regulator because it's down there. And initially I'm just going to measure, I'll put a ground, put the black on a ground here where this modulator goes. Let's just do that actually. I've measured that end pin there. What have we got? Nothing. Maybe that's not a good ground. Yeah, there's nothing there. Tab 3.3. So I'm not even going to worry about voltages because the tab goes to the centre pin there, and that's the voltage out. So it does have 3.3 volts. That isn't the issue. So we've ruled out the supply rail. We know the contacts there are okay. You know, I don't really see any damage as such. So I think the next thing I'm going to do actually is just get a little bit of flux around there and reflow around the arm. Actually, there's a crystal here, isn't there? But that solder points look alright on that. So we could scope that, I guess, make sure it's getting a clock. If it was dropped, yeah, it could be a problem because it's a bare PCB. Now, crystals, any kind of impact, vibration rippling through them, certainly of a certain amplitude, you know, strength from an impact as this hit the floor. And there's a dent there, look. Maybe that's happened. Maybe that has happened. Maybe it whacked there. Yeah, that would crack a crystal internally, and then you'd have no clock, and it would just sit there doing nothing. So, you never know. Could be the crystal. So there are 1,000,001 different brands of flux. You could use Amtech. I use this Chipquik NC191. Came from Sparks UK. This still got half a tube of this. It's certainly the best way to go in a big tube like this. It's just lasted so long with, you know, so little wastage, really. Small tubes that I used to use, they're very wasteful. So we'll just get flux around it. And of course, as I'm doing this, it did occur to me, maybe it's missing the software. Maybe it needs the SD card. That may be a thing. But anyway, I'm just going to do these things in here. It's a bit messy around there. And then if that doesn't work, I'll just research to see whether there's anything we need to do. Do we need a card in there? It could even be the contacts on the micro SD, or even maybe it needs a new slot. Maybe there's some damage in the pins in there. So I'm not sure if the solder iron is quite up to temperature. Let's just see if it can melt solder. Yeah, it can. So I don't actually want any solder on it. And I am literally just going to drag around this. You do need to use magnification, so I'm going to have to... I'll show you what I can here, and then I'm going to have to cut to use the magnifier and inspect very closely. Just have a bit of a slow drag, like that, stop every now and again. The pitch is incredibly fine on those ARM MCUs. I think we've got a bridge up here. Yeah, they've got a bridge there, definitely. Can you see that little blob in that corner? So, yeah, as this is what I say, I'll fix that on the magnification. There are also capacitors and resistors and things very close nearby. So, if you're not careful, you could easily cause a problem with one of those little components. Same here, look, these two caps. It'd be nice if this fixed it. I doubt it. I really doubt it. And let's do the same on that side. That one's going to be a pain there. Yeah, I can't get to it because of those. I would assume when you build one of these, the arm goes on first, really. Right, there we go. So I'll just inspect with magnification and remove that blob there. And the way I'll do that actually is just to dab the tip in and pull it away. I'll just see if I can do that. Let's just put it this way up. Hopefully it's still focused. Sometimes you can just dab in. There you go, it's almost gone. There you go, it's gone. I think, yeah, there's nothing there. So I'll just inspect and I'll report back in a minute. I was thinking about this, you know, I mean, there could be some menu or something built into the thing, but I don't think so. I think it's going to come from the card. So let's clean this up. We'll try it again, but then I'll go away and research. This may we may find it works, but trust me, the seller has said no, this is definitely folly. Tried everything, can't get it working. So if it does work when we got the software on the card, we know a reflow around there, or cleaning the contacts, one of the two, has been the solution. But you could just run through those same steps. If you had a problem with yours, you know, clean it, test it, and then make sure the software's right, test it, and then reflow and test it. And you've seen the voltage check. We'll check that clock as well, actually, if it's completely dead still, if we get no further. And then we can perhaps measure some of these components on here, these resistors, for example. If one of those had gone open circuit or something, that would be a reason why it wouldn't work. Anyway, I'll collect most of it this way. I will reflow one or two of these components with hot air if we get this working, just to reposition them, because there's like one or two that are a bit crooked. But there's every chance this has been reflowed before, because there was a little bit of flux on there. But that could be from manufacture. You know, we don't know whether the guy who sold this is the one who built it, or whether it's just one that someone's bought and then it's failed. Possible failure for these, you know, you could stick it in upside down, that would probably kill something. Because the 5 volts would end up going to where ground is or something like that. You have to be careful when you've got really small SMD components like this and you're using a cotton bud to wipe around, because you can snag them and pull them straight off. And you'd think that wouldn't be an easy thing to do, but trust me, it is really, really easy. I accidentally pulled a cap off a PC motherboard recently, just doing this, just gently like that. I just touched it, went and it ripped the trace and everything. Because the traces are so fine, the pads are so fine, you need very little physical, power there to do damage. Yeah, that's a bit better. It's a bit dirty up here, but all that goo on the underside there's gone, and it's looking in general a lot better there. So testing again, and we still have a black screen. So let's check the clock at this point, I think. So I've got the scope connected up here, and if I just I'm trying not to block the shot here, you can see I've got the ground here, which is a good ground, and there we go. So we have a clock frequency 8 megahertz there. So yeah, that's not the issue. I don't think there's anything I can do with this as things stand. I've ordered a programmer so that I can connect up to these connections here and flash it with its original firmware again. Because what could have happened, it could have been someone doing a firmware update and, I don't know, it went wrong. Something went wrong, bad connection on here, bad connection on the card. Maybe the C64 balked or something partway through the update or something like that. The solder points look alright, but just to rule them out, I'm going to get hot air, and I'm just going to go around some of these things with hot air. I'll have to Captain tape off these switches just to make sure I don't melt them. Let's start up here with these. One or two of those solder points don't look very clever on them. Now, I can't imagine that being a problem, but you know what? If one of these buttons was being simulated being held down when it's powered on, that might cause a problem. Let's just do them bit by bit. I'll do these 4, we'll test it, and we'll come back and we'll do some of the things, test it, etc. I don't think that's going to be the issue at all. I am pretty sure it's either a dead arm or the code on the arm is balked. At least we'll narrow things down by doing in small little phases like this. Yeah, that'll do. Because the flux is down here, let's just do these as well. Right, let's give that a try. So, another try and another black screen. So I'm just reflowing some of the components down the bottom end here with some hot air, rather than get flux on them and mess the board up, and because I don't need to Captain tape anything off around here. Up. Yeah, there we go, that's alright. But I figure if I use a bit of hot air here, and it said hot hair then, it's very, very unlikely to be these. These are just like decoupling caps and stuff on the regulator there. These resistors maybe. And of course the next logical thing is just to measure these resistors on the resistance setting on my multimeter. We've got a little component down here, what's that? It says C1. Doesn't look like a capacitor, does it? It's got 3 pins. But anyway, it's perhaps just an idea to reflow these things. We can check those resistor arrays down there as well, because that is something that would be a huge problem. Right, that'll do. I'll just let that cool off. So I haven't got rid of all the flux off there, but let's just give that one more go. I am getting cheesed off with this though. Oh yes, fantastic, it works. I can't believe it. Insert fat formatted SD card. So, that is incredible. I don't actually know what has fixed that, because all we did is just float some of this SMD stuff with hot air, and you know what, just looking at them under the light there, I couldn't see any issues at all. So there must have been a bad point, but when you've got connections that small, it's very easy to miss a crack. And because obviously you're pushing this in and pulling out, flexing and stuff, it's better with a shell. You know, any kind of flexions on the board, you can break solder connections. But yeah, I'm very pleased. So I'll go and find a micro SD card, and we'll get some games on it. I think I need to work out how to use it, because this is my first time obviously seeing one of these and having to play around with it. But all signs are I think it's fixed. I'm very pleased though, because those ARM chips, whilst you can obviously just replace that fairly easy, they're hard to find because of the shortage, but it's working every time, as you can see. So yeah, very, very pleased. Let's see if I can get a nice shell for it as well. I'll have a look at the Future's 8-bit. So I've got some cart files. I'm not sure what this supports. Does it do discs? Does it do PRGs? Is that the right way up? Yeah, I think so. So I've got a load of cart files on there. It's not my full collection, it's just a few folders and a few individual CRT files. Let's try that. Woohoo! It's got them there, it's displaying everything. So let me connect a joystick up. Let's try Hostager, I think. Programming a flash memory. Please do not power off or reset. Well, I think we'll call that a success. I don't have a keyboard connected, which is a problem. Let me just see if I can plug it on. In fact, let's just switch it off. I would never connect anything up to a C64 whilst it's on, even though technically the keyboard is just a matrix. It's just asking for trouble. The last thing I want to do is kill a CIA. I'll show you the keyboard in a second. It's a bread bin keyboard that just happens to be nearby because I'm working on a few of these C64s. How do you get back to the menu? Oh, there's a button on it, isn't there, for the menu? So let's just do F1, start the game. No. Ah, this is sweet. This is sweet. So I've got myself an Easy Flash cartridge. £15 it was as well. So yeah, all right. I could have probably built one for something around that price, perhaps, but not at current prices. Those ARM chips are probably blooming expensive right now. It might have been 15 quid just for the ARM chip at current prices. Is that working? Yes, it is. Sweet. Ah, fantastic. Not sure if this version's the intro. I think I may have just skipped it. Right, let's just try the buttons. So I'm going to press reset, I think. That's the one on the right. So that should, yeah, take us back to the beginning. The middle one, I think, is menu. Hey, it works. It works. Brilliant. Briley Witch Chronicles. Let's try that. This is fantastic. I will hit the Future's 8-bit website. I'll post a link down below to those guys. You can buy one of these cards from them, I think. I think they sell them. This one may have come from there. I don't know, but yeah, I'll hit their website and go and order a shell. And then hopefully, by the end of this video, I'll be able to show you the shell as well. I wonder if this does continues, because one of the problems with my 1541 Ultimate is it doesn't actually do saves. Let's just turn the volume up a wee bit. Anyway, that is working. So let's just see if we can do a save. We'll just skip all this. This is a new game, by the way, from Sarah Jane Avery. It's an RPG with sort of Final Fantasy-like battles and things. Let's just see if we can get to the menu. How do you do that? There we go. Save. Held the button down, by the way. There. We'll do carts. Slot 1. Now, I don't think this is going to work, if I'm honest. I tried this on the 1541 Ultimate and it didn't work. Maybe there's a newer firmware for the 1541 Ultimate. I don't know. So the save is there. If we switch the power off, this is the key here. I don't think this will work. You need a specific type of cart, I think. Or you could buy the cartridge, maybe. Cart. Oh, it's got a save. There we go. So saves work on this as well. That is really good. So that's how I'll be playing this game, because my 1541 doesn't seem to want to, store that save. The firmware on this obviously supports this particular cart. or the the method this cart uses. Right, let's just hit the menu again. Let's just try another game. Hang on a minute. How do you want to save the changes to the CRT? Ah, right, okay. So you can actually overwrite the cartridge. I think I'll choose a new file, just so we don't mess up the cartridge. Yeah, so you can see we've got two there, I think, with the same name there. That gets a bit confusing, doesn't it? The one with the dot there maybe is the original one. I think that's the new one. Anyway, that works really well. That's really nice functionality. Let's go to the carts folder. So we've got loads of games here, look. Now, lots of these, I think, are unofficial conversions from disc or tape to cartridge. Wodland, let's give that a go. Fantastic. I love this game. It's not so... the port is not as good on the C64 as it is on the Amiga and ST, because I think you lose the in-game music, don't you? But nevertheless, it's a good game. It's a great game, in fact. Yeah, I just missed that music. There's no music. It's such a cool, simple, addictive game, though. And you can see I was testing it there. So let's disconnect that. I'm now going to go give it its final clean-up, I think. So what was the actual fix? Well, we reflowed around here. Didn't seem to make a difference. It was only when I did around here and the resistor arrays and those stuff there. So it was one of these small components here that was the issue. I mean, technically it could have been the 3.3 volts not getting there, but I'll be honest, the solder points look really good on that. The other thing I did as well off camera is there was just the odd little particle of solder, I mean really, really small particles over the tops of traces, and I just chipped them off. Now, sometimes things like that can create coupling, inductive coupling between traces. If you get one smeared across a trace, you kind of get inductive coupling going on, but I don't think that was the issue, actually. I think it was actually a reflow, perhaps, of these. That's the most logical thing, because it's right next to where it goes in. It could get a bit stressed on either side there, perhaps. But under magnification, every one of the connections looked perfect. They really did. It was just the flux around here that made me reflow that to start with. So I'll give it its final clean now, and then I'll test it with some more games. There we go, that looks like new. That is amazing. So I copied all the stuff off the 1541 Ultimates cartridge there onto that, and also the update. This is on 1.12, the firmware, as you may have seen when it first started working. There's 1.37 now. There's been an awful lot of firmware updates for this, so I'm going to apply those, and they do all sorts of things like obviously fixing bugs, increasing stability, better performance and compatibility with the disk drive stuff, because it supports D64s. I think it supports .T64s as well, tape images. Maybe not all of them, but it does support those, as well as .PRGs, .P00 files, as well as .CRT, cartridge files. Anyway, let's update that, so I'll switch it on. So as you can see, quite a lot of stuff in the list there, including system volume information, thanks Windows. Anyway, we'll delete that folder in a minute. So the firmware, what is it? It's an UPD, there we go. Kung Fu Flash V 1.37.UPD. So let's just fire on that. This will upgrade firmware. Upgrade. Do not power off or reset. There we go. It's now on 1.37. That was seamless, wasn't it? Really quick and easy. Painless. Right, switch it off, switch it back on, just make sure it's still on 1.37. Yep, there we go. That's incredible. I'm amazed how fast that process was. So, let's try some of my stuff. Now, one thing I noticed when I was copying these things to that SD card, when I stuck the SD card on my computer, it said that it was corrupt. Now, that could be the older version of the firmware when it was saving a save file from a cartridge we tested earlier. Was it Briary Witch Chronicles? I think it was, or Briley Witch Chronicles it's called. So yeah, maybe there was a bug there on a previous version that meant you could corrupt your card. I don't know. We'll have to test that again. Anyway, that's worked, hasn't it? Yeah, that seems to have worked. It's like Mikey this, or Mickey, the old Konami game there, where you had to wander around a classroom bum whacking people off desks. It was a bit of a... Oh, hang on. Yeah, I wonder what that was though. There was a thing that stunned me, wasn't there? It's that radio. It sends out musical notes that hit you. Ah, I did it again. Interestingly enough, you can also sit on the chairs like you can on Mikey. It's probably called Nicky. There we go. Room 1 done. Or day 1, I think it is. I'm ready. Stamping on letters now. And the postman's trying to get me. Why is everyone trying to get me? That's what I want to know. Postman's relentless. Not sure there's any way you can sit on this round to get away. And he throws letters at you, look. He's going nuts for the letters now. Where's the exit? I don't know where the exit... Oh, it's on the right. One thought I did have with these, you know, you're flashing, it says it's flashing the memory, obviously it's flashing the cartridge to the internal memory on the ARM chip. I wonder how many write operations you get out of it. I might just look that up actually. I'll work out what the part number is and just have a look at the data sheet for that chip. And I'll report back, but I'll just play a few more games before I do that. So this is another new game. I've forgotten who I watched playing this now. Was it Jamie Morgan perhaps? Yeah, I think it was. I'm munched already, look. Oh. Yeah, you have to press fire to jump. Recognise the music at all? Oh no, it is working. I thought it had bombed for a minute. Oh, it's a schmuck. It's like Cybernoid. Yeah, it literally is a Cybernoid clone, isn't it? That's a bit more forgiving than Cybernoid. Oh, maybe not. This is kind of like a Bruce Lee thing, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It looks very much like Bruce Lee. I'm assuming you can, yeah, you can fly and kick. I've really not had a chance to play a lot of these. But it's definitely playing homage to Bruce Lee. I'm not sure what you collect on this. Oh. There we are, 264. Wow, that's really cool. Find Ghostbusters. Let's just see if we can load that. Yeah, so you select the PRG off the actual image there. Is it going to work? Haha. Fantastic. So yeah, that is brilliant being able to load T64 games. Maybe you can load T64 games on the 1541 Ultimate, maybe I'm just forgetting. Because that would be a bit of an obvious oversight, because I don't think it's that hard, is it? Just like accessing like a disk and then taking the PRG file and executing the PRG file off it. Hey, it works. Fantastic. It's a really cool cartridge. I've just got the gun. That's quite cool. I should have put it on 2-player really, but what you do is you hold the button down, I think, to get the menu to flash. There we go. And I can go up and down to choose the gun. There you go, I've got my gun. And then I think you move in the direction you want and press fire. No, you don't. You just press fire? No. There you go, you press down. Hold down fire and press down. I shot him. Shot him again. Shot him again. Not sure if there's a finite number of bullets, and again, yeah, out bullets now. Of course, the main combat on this is using the sword like that. Hey, that worked. Loaded really quick as well. That's not bad actually. Alright, it's a bit blocky, but it's nice and fast. And it's got sound. Alright, slowing down a bit now. I think I spoke too soon on the speed. I'd have been happy with this as a kid though, definitely. Yeah, speed is definitely an issue, isn't it? One minute it goes really fast and then it goes really slow. So just looking at the data sheet there, you can see it's an ARM Cortex 32-bit CPU with FPU, Adaptive Real-Time Accelerator, ART accelerator, allowing zero wait state execution from flash memory up to 168 MHz. Memory protection unit. It's incredible really, that tiny little chip. It's got 1 megabyte of flash memory, so some of that is going to contain the code, isn't it? I think. So I would imagine you can only go up to, I don't know, maybe 512k or maybe 768. It depends how much code they're using on there, how much space for the code. Certainly 512k carts wouldn't be an issue, but bigger than that could be. It's got 192 plus 4k of SRAM, including 64 kilobyte of core coupled memory. 512 bytes of OTP, one-time programmable, presumably. Now this part worries me a little bit. It's not clear. We're on the data retention bit. It says flash memory endurance and data retention, and it's talking in kilocycles here. So 10,000 kilocycles. Oh, maybe that's quite a lot actually. Well, I don't know. 10k, 10,000 times, and that's obviously talking about in terms of temperature range, and then it's saying data retention, so that's about endurance. Data retention, 1 kilocycle at 85 degrees, 30 years to say, but 1 kilocycle, so are we saying after 1,000 times you've written to it, it'll last 30 years? It's quite confusing. 10,000 cycles, I think that's what it means, kilocycles, 20 years, so somewhere between 1 and 10,000. I think, I could be wrong, please post down in the comments below if you know otherwise. Yeah, I mean obviously it would take a lot of, you'd have to play quite a lot of games on it to get through, 10,000 cycles. So wrist strap is on, by the way. Yeah, this was created by Kim Jorgensen. I'll post a link down below, but you can see his GitHub link there, github.com/Kim Jorgensen/Kung Fu Flash. And as I say, you can buy them from Futures 8-bit, but you could build one yourself. You could go to his GitHub and you can download the firmware, you can download I think you can get the PCB layout and stuff from there as well. So yeah, you could build one yourself. The one thing I may do off camera, can you see there's just a little bit of, that needs a reflow there, the solder's not great, it's a bit uneven, and I may just redo the SD slot there as well. There was just a particle of solder on there and I just scratched it off on the actual shield, but that wasn't the issue. So I think the issue with these two here, or those two resistors there, maybe even that transistor. Yeah, so not a bad pickup for £15. Hopefully you found the video interesting. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.